the tech genius they called a failure. The sound of champagne glasses clinking echoed through the marble foyer of the Riverside Country Club as I approached the entrance, my worn sneakers squeaking against the polished floor. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, I could see my family celebrating my cousin Marcus's promotion to senior partner at his law firm. The same Marcus who used to copy my homework in high school. Absolutely not. My brother Derek's voice boomed from behind the heavy oak doors as he spotted me through the glass. He stepped outside, adjusting his expensive suit jacket with the kind of smugness that had become his signature expression. Mom specifically said family only. You know, people who've actually made something of themselves. I shifted the small gift bag in my hands, feeling the weight of the envelope inside. The same envelope that contained stock certificates worth more than everyone in that room would make in their lifetimes combined. My name is Alex Chun. I'm 32, and I'm about to show my family exactly what I've made of myself. It's Uncle Robert's 70th birthday, I said quietly, watching Derek's face contort with that familiar mixture of pity and disgust he'd perfected over the years. I just wanted to give him his gift. Derek laughed, the sound sharp and cutting. What gift? Some homemade gadget from your little computer hobby? Alex, this is a $500 per plate dinner. The Vanderbilts are here. The Steinbergs. People who matter. He gestured toward the dining room where I could see our relatives mingling with the city's elite. You're wearing sneakers and a hoodie to a black tie event. I looked down at my Stanford hoodie, faded from years of wear, and my comfortable jeans. The same outfit I'd worn to close a $2 billion acquisition deal just this morning. It's all I had, I said simply. Exactly my point, Derek sneered. Look, I get it. You tried with your little tech thing. But some people are just meant to be successful, and others. He shrugged. Others end up living in their parents' basement, playing video games. If only he knew that the little tech thing was Neuralink Dynamics, the AI company I'd founded in that very basement 7 years ago. The company that had just gone public last month with a valuation that made it one of the most valuable startups in Silicon Valley history. But Derek didn't know that. None of them did. Alex. My mother's voice cut through the evening air as she appeared beside Derek, her face immediately clouding with embarrassment. What are you doing here? I thought we discussed this. This is a very important evening for the family. Senator Williams is here, and the governor's wife, and they can't see the family failure. I finished for her. I understand. Mom's face softened for just a moment before hardening again. It's not that, sweetheart. It's just, well, you know how these things are. Appearances matter. Your cousin Marcus just made partner at Morrison & Associates. Your sister Jennifer is engaged to that wonderful doctor. Even Derek's real estate company is doing so well. She paused, glancing at my outfit with barely concealed horror. And you're still figuring things out. I thought about the penthouse apartment overlooking San Francisco Bay that I'd bought last year. The one with the infinity pool and the view of the Golden Gate Bridge. The one I'd never mentioned to anyone in my family. Still figuring things out, I repeated. Right. Exactly, Derek jumped in. Which is why you can't come in. This is about celebrating actual success, not whatever it is you do all day on your computer. Through the windows, I could see Uncle Robert holding court at the head table, regaling the guests with stories about his grandchildren's achievements. The same Uncle Robert who had co-signed my first business loan when I was 25, believing in me when no one else would. The same loan I'd paid back in full, with interest, within 2 years. Your uncle specifically requested that only successful family members attend, my mother continued, her voice taking on that patronizing tone I'd heard 1,000 times before. He wants to talk business with the other guests. You understand. I pulled out my phone, its custom case gleaming under the country club's exterior lighting. The same phone that contained direct contact information for every major tech CEO on the planet. Actually, I think Uncle Robert might want to see me. Derek rolled his eyes. Alex, please, don't make this harder than it needs to be. We all know you're still living with Mom and Dad, spending your days on that computer. There's no shame in admitting you're not cut out for the business world. The irony was suffocating. Just yesterday, I'd been featured on the cover of Forbes as the silent billionaire. How Alex Chin built an AI empire from his bedroom. The article was sitting in my car, along with several other magazines featuring my story. But they didn't read tech publications. They only cared about traditional success markers. My computer hobby, I said slowly, is actually a waste of time, Derek interrupted. Look, I tried to help you. I offered you a job at my real estate company. Entry level, sure, but it was honest work. But you turned it down to keep playing with your computers. I remembered that conversation. Derek had offered me a $35,000 a year position filing paperwork, while I was in the middle of negotiations for a contract that would eventually net me $200 million. But he didn't know that. To him, I was just his loser brother who dropped out of Stanford to play with computers. Mom, Dad needs to cut the cord. Jennifer's voice joined the conversation as she appeared in the doorway, her engagement ring catching the light. She looked immaculate in her designer dress, every inch the successful doctor's fiancée. Alex can't keep living in the basement forever. I'm not living in the basement anymore, I said quietly. Oh, did you finally get your own place? Mom asked hopefully. An apartment? That's wonderful, honey. Where? I thought about my 5,000 square foot penthouse with its private elevator and rooftop garden. San Francisco, I said. Oh, a studio apartment. Jennifer nodded knowingly. Well, it's a start. At least you're trying to be independent. Something like that. Derek checked his expensive watch with theatrical impatience. Look, this is getting ridiculous. Alex, just go home. We'll tell Uncle Robert you couldn't make it. Couldn't afford it? I asked. Exactly, Derek said without missing a beat. There's no shame in being honest about your situation. I looked past them through the grand entrance at the country club where my family was celebrating success they'd never bothered to recognize in me. For years, I'd let them believe what they wanted to believe. Let them think I was the family disappointment while I built an empire they couldn't even comprehend. Actually, I said, straightening my shoulders, I think I'll stay. Before anyone could respond, the club's doors swung open and Thomas Martinez, the club's general manager, stepped out. His face broke into a wide smile when he saw me. Mr. Chun, what a wonderful surprise. I had no idea you were joining us this evening. He turned to my bewildered family. Are you here for the private dining room? I can have the staff prepare your usual table immediately. The silence that followed was deafening. Derek's mouth fell open, his perfectly styled hair suddenly looking ridiculous in the evening breeze. My mother gripped her purse like a lifeline. Thomas, I smiled warmly. Perfect timing. My family was just explaining how I couldn't afford to dine here. Thomas looked genuinely confused. But sir, you're one of our platinum members. You own the penthouse unit in the residential tower we built last year. I'm sorry, what now? Jennifer's voice cracked slightly. Oh, you must be Mr. Chen's sister, Thomas beamed. He's told us so much about his family. Did you know he donated the funds for our new technology center? The Alex Chen Innovation Lab opened just last month. I watched the color drain from Derek's face as the pieces began falling into place. This is some kind of mistake, he stammered. Actually, a familiar voice called out from behind Thomas. There's no mistake. Senator Williams appeared in the doorway, his face lighting up when he saw me. Alex, I was hoping you'd make it tonight. I wanted to introduce you to Governor Martinez. She's very interested in discussing your AI ethics proposal. My mother's legs seemed to give out slightly as she leaned against the doorframe. AI ethics proposal? Oh, you must be Alex's mother. Senator Williams extended his hand. You must be so proud. Your son's testimony before Congress last month was groundbreaking. The Neural Rights Act he proposed could revolutionize how we approach artificial intelligence. Congress, Mom whispered. Of course, the real celebration will be next week when the Nobel Committee announces the Peace Prize nominations, the senator continued. Alex's work on AI safety protocols has potentially saved millions of lives. Derek found his voice first, though it came out as more of a croak. Nobel Prize. Well, it's just a nomination, I said modestly. Though the committee seemed impressed by our work on preventing AI-related warfare. Jennifer gripped her fiancé's arm so tightly I could see his face turning red. But you dropped out of college. You live in Mom and Dad's basement. You play video games all day. Actually, Thomas interjected helpfully. Mr. Chung graduated summa cum laude from Stanford before founding Neuralink Dynamics. I believe Forbes just named him the youngest tech billionaire in history. The words hung in the air like a bomb waiting to explode. I watched my family's faces cycle through disbelief, shock, and finally, a dawning horror as they realized what they'd done. Billionaire. Derek's voice was barely audible. Senator Williams laughed. Oh, that's old news. With the IPO last month, Alex's net worth is somewhere in the double-digit billions, isn't it? Though I suppose when you're changing the world, money becomes secondary. I shrugged. It's just numbers on a screen. My God, my mother breathed. All this time, we thought you were a failure. I finished gently. Yes, I know. You've mentioned it frequently over the years. Uncle Robert's voice boomed from inside the club. Is that my favorite nephew out there? Alex, get in here. I want you to meet Governor Martinez. She's been dying to discuss your renewable energy initiative. As we walked into the main dining room, I felt every eye in the place turn toward us. The governor approached immediately, her face breaking into a warm smile. Alex Chun, finally, I've been trying to get a meeting with you for months. Your vertical farming patents could revolutionize agriculture in our state. I smiled politely. I'd be happy to discuss it, Governor. Though I should mention, the patents are open source. Anyone can use them. Of course they are, she laughed. That's exactly why we need more people like you in technology. Profit isn't your only motive. Derek stumbled to a nearby chair, his face pale. Open source patents worth how much? About $50 billion in licensing fees that Alex gave away for free, Thomas whispered helpfully. He wanted to make sure developing countries could access the technology. My mother sat down heavily beside Derek, fanning herself with the dinner menu. $50 billion, given away for free. Jennifer's fiancé, Dr. Morrison, stepped forward hesitantly. Alex, I had no idea. My hospital has been implementing your medical AI diagnostics program. It's saved hundreds of lives already. That was the point, I said simply. But the profit margins, Derek started. Derek, I interrupted gently. Some things are more important than profit margins. Uncle Robert clinked his glass, calling for attention. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you all to meet my nephew, Alex Chun. Most of you know him as the founder of Neuralink Dynamics, but I know him as the kid who used to fix my computer when he was 12 years old. The room erupted in applause. I felt a genuine warmth from Uncle Robert's introduction, so different from the cold dismissal I'd received from the rest of my family. Alex, Uncle Robert continued, I know you're modest, but tell everyone about the children's hospital you're building in downtown. It's nothing special, I said, uncomfortable with the attention. Just a place where kids can get treatment regardless of their family's financial situation. Just a place, the governor laughed. It's a $500 million facility with the most advanced pediatric care in the world, all funded by Alex's foundation. I caught sight of my parents at their table, looking shell-shocked. Dad was staring at his phone, presumably Googling my name and discovering article after article about my success. Mom was crying quietly into her napkin. The best part, Uncle Robert went on, is that Alex never told us any of this. Never bragged, never boasted. Just quietly changed the world while we were all talking about our quarterly reports. Marcus, my cousin who'd been celebrating his promotion all evening, approached hesitantly. Alex, man, I had no idea. Why didn't you ever say anything? I looked around the room at all the faces staring at me with newfound respect. The same people who dismissed me for years were now hanging on my every word. Would you have believed me? I asked quietly. Any of you? The silence that followed was answer enough. When I left Stanford to start my company, everyone said I was throwing my life away. When I worked 18-hour days in Mom and Dad's basement, you all said I was wasting my time. When I turned down Derek's job offer, you said I was delusional. I paused, looking at each of them. So I stopped trying to convince you. I just did the work. Derek stood up shakily. Alex, I'm sorry. I had no idea. No, I said firmly. You had no faith. There's a difference. Dr. Morrison cleared his throat. Alex, I hope you know that your family's always been proud of you. I almost laughed at the absurdity of it. 3 hours ago, they wouldn't let me into Uncle Robert's birthday party because I was too much of an embarrassment. The room fell silent. You could hear the clink of silverware against china from the kitchen. We didn't mean. Mom started, but I held up my hand. It's okay, Mom. I understand. You measured success by traditional metrics. Law firms, medical practices, real estate portfolios. You couldn't see that someone in a hoodie and sneakers might be changing the world. Governor Martinez spoke up. Alex, I hope you know that the real measure of success isn't money or fame. It's impact. And you've impacted more lives than everyone in this room combined. I felt a warmth spread through my chest. Not because of the praise, but because someone finally understood what I'd been trying to do all along. Thank you. I said simply. Uncle Robert raised his glass. To Alex, who reminds us that the greatest successes often come from the most unexpected places. As the evening wound down, I found myself on the club's terrace, looking out at the city lights. The same city where my company's headquarters now stood as the tallest building on the skyline. My father joined me, his face haggard with regret. Son, I owe you an apology. A big one. You owe me respect, Dad. Not apologies. He nodded slowly. You're right. I never respected your choices. I thought I knew what success looked like, and it looked like Derek's real estate deals and Jennifer's medical degree. I never imagined that your dropout son would become a billionaire, that my son would become a humanitarian, he corrected quietly. The money doesn't impress me, Alex. But the hospitals, the open source patents, the AI safety work, that's who you really are. And I missed all of it because I was too busy being disappointed in who I thought you were. I considered his words, feeling the weight of years of dismissal and condescension. Dad, I didn't build this company for your approval. I built it because I saw problems that needed solving. But I won't lie. It would have been nice to have my family's support along the way. You have it now, he said firmly. For whatever that's worth. I thought about that as I drove home later that night, the city lights blurring past my car windows. Tomorrow, the family dynamic would be completely different. Derek would probably want to discuss investment opportunities. Jennifer would suddenly be interested in my work. Mom would rewrite history to claim she'd always believed in me. But tonight, I'd finally shown them who I really was. Not the family failure in the basement, but the guy who'd built an empire while they weren't looking. The guy who'd changed the world while they were counting their quarterly profits. And that felt better than any amount of belated family approval ever could. The gift bag with Uncle Robert's present still sat on my passenger seat, unopened. Inside was a small envelope containing the deed to a private island in the Caribbean, one of my more frivolous purchases. But more importantly, it contained a letter I'd written years ago when I first started finding success. A letter thanking him for being the only one who'd believed in me when everyone else had given up. Tomorrow I'd give it to him. Tonight, I just wanted to drive home to my empty penthouse and remember what it felt like to finally be seen for who I really was. The family genius they'd called a failure had finally come home.